So, robots are cool, right? And we all agree that they help us immensely. But what if we told you they're not just limited to being cute little vacuum cleaners? Instead, their use in agriculture has revolutionized the way we look at farming. So, stick with us, because in this video, we'll take you through the many ways through which agricultural robots have taken farming to the next level. So, let's get to it. First up, we've got AppHarvest. Even if the only plantsy stuff you've ever done is adopt a snake plant, you must know how water exhaustive farming can be, or not, since those guys don't really need that much water anyway. But still, sure, you can literally bear fruit after the process, but in a world that's already quite low on water, don't you think we should end up saving some? Well, if you agree, then you're pretty much on the same page as the creators of AppHarvest, who use AI and robotics along with rainwater collection and precision growing to minimize the consumption of water and increase crop yields. Working out of Massachusetts, this startup aims to reinvent the way water is used in farming and hopes to produce sustainable produce that is readily available to almost 70% of the country's population within a day. The robots of AppHarvest are used to optimize indoor environments for this to happen and plant monitoring. This means on-demand zucchini, you guys. Ain't that the dream? Up next, Nio Technologies are a league of their own. This remote brainchild is a one-of-its-kind technology that has truly revolutionized the way we approach farming. Gone are the days when plowers and manual labor were needed for farmers to ensure they reap what they sow. Thanks to Nio Technologies, the 3 distinct robots developed by them are equipped to help farmers in hoeing fields to weeding vegetable fields and wine vineyards. And while that may not be enough to convince you, we'll have you know that the company's partnership with Chateau Mouton Rothschild enlisted TED, Nio's vine-tailored robotic weed killer, in their vineyards. What the U-shaped TED does is that it rolls over and around a vine row, and with the help of an RTK satellite, it navigates its way to stay on the course, as well as with some assistance from a few drones. This allows the machine to map out the plot of land reserved for the vineyards, and later, with the help of industry-standard blades and finger weeders, unwanted weeds are pulled out, which significantly reduces the chances of herbicide use. Maybe the future for farming doesn't look that bad. Coming up, it's harvest automation. Now, let's pause for a second and take you back to Farming 101. For greenhouse plants to grow to their full potential, all bushy and thick, it's really important for them to have some space between them, because after all, for all those branches to extend, they do need some room to adjust, right? And that can't happen if the plants are plotted a little too close to each other. Now here's where the problem comes in. Sometimes, the entire space around those plants isn't being optimized, so this kind of makes all that space useless. But fear not, this is where harvest automation comes in. The behavior-based HV1 robot is built in such a way that it handles all the work of spacing container crops and plants, kind of like the only person who does everything in group projects. HV1 runs even when it's scorching hot and makes sure every inch of the land is used to its utmost potential so that ornamental plants and specialty fruits and veggies can grow on demand. We owe you, HV1. Following up, do you fancy a strawberry? Who doesn't love strawberries? Sure, we think the fruit doesn't really live up to the way it looks, but that won't stop us from consuming them by the dozen. The only thing that dampens all our strawberry fantasies is the way it's strictly a seasonal fruit. They're only available in spring. It's kind of sad that we don't have all-year access to fresh strawberries, and we're pretty sure you'll agree with us when we say that preserves and extracts just don't hit the same. Even so, we're glad Harvest Crew exists, because through this startup, we now have a sped-up strawberry harvesting robot that uses its robotic components to pluck and pick the berries so that they can be packaged quickly. This might not help our seasonal complaints about the fruit, but at least it reduces the dependency on human labor for the plucking process. It also has an integrated system that allows the robot to differentiate between ripe and unripe strawberries, so there's almost no bad mushy fruit in your package when you buy it. And less time means faster delivery to our favorite Whole Foods, and we'll take that any day. Moving on to Iron Ox. Located in San Carlos, California, Iron Ox is famous for being the world's first autonomous farm. Yep, you heard that right. Farmers can basically control these farms with the help of an app on their phone, and that's probably the coolest thing nerds have made in the 21st century. Inside Iron Ox is a vast space of about 8,000 square feet, which looks more like a research lab than it does a field. 2 robots monitor the growth of leafy greens that are connected via a cloud, enabling farmers to see how their veggies are doing. Everything is grown inside hydroponic pods, and computer vision and sensors sort of act like the eyes of plant scientists who oversee the operations of the robots hard at work. Like Harvest Crew, Iron Ox robots are also programmed to analyze and pick individual plants that are safe for consumption, and considering how efficient the entire system is, every batch of arugula is as perfect as you'd imagine it to be. The Iron Ox produce is currently available in many states in the West and the South, so if you're ever in the mood for some genetically engineered leafy greens, you know where to look. What's more, how do you make it rain in a desert? If you've seen that video wear Pitbull standing in the middle of the desert with Mark Anthony singing to the sky to make it rain, then you're probably a veteran pop music enjoyer. While the duo eventually made it rain over them, there's actually a whole research institute that uses the science of cloud seeding to make it rain. Ha! Take that, Pitbull. We'll give credit where it's due though. Discovered in 1946, Dr. Bernard Vonnegut was convinced that if the conditions are right, then there's a way to induce rain if some cool science chemicals are mixed together. He figured that if we introduced silver iodide particles to clouds, this could potentially lead to the formation of ice crystals, and as a result, it could actually precipitate. Now, while this theory of his was deemed a bit flawed, as droughts continue to worsen, more research is being done to induce cloud seeding. And for this very reason, the Desert Research Institute now has a program that conducts cloud seeding trials on a regular basis over a couple of mountain ranges in the western regions of the United States to lessen the blow of global warming and prove Pitbull's theory after all. Now for Taranis, a way to monitor crop stress. When we say crop stress, we don't necessarily mean the crops have deadlines to reach. Okay, bad joke. They sort of do have harvest season deadlines, but none quite as urgent as the one lurking in your browser tab somewhere. Now back to Taranis. So this Westfield startup is actually a bit of an international hit, considering the FAA restriction on autonomous drones. These agriculture-focused UAVs basically offer their high-resolution scans to farmers in Europe, South America, and North America. Taranis uses drones coupled with computer vision and data science to monitor crop stress and self-improve identification capabilities. Ah, if only we had a Taranis to monitor our stress levels. Up next, Nexus Robotics has a cool robot for weed. Okay, before you think that we've gotten a bit too 420 friendly here, let us come clear that we're doing no such thing of that sort here. Now that we've talked about cool agriculture and farming robots that have helped crops in various ways, it's also important to make sure that plants are the only things growing in those areas. As we know, weeds are unwanted plants when crops are concerned and aren't favorable when farmers want their produce to grow. To combat this, Nexus Robotics came up with a weed-yanking autonomous robot called R2Weed2 that used artificial intelligence to differentiate between weeds and crops. This system then makes sure that the unwanted plants are stripped out and the useful ones are rooted in until harvest time. And just when you thought the robots at Nexus were just some weed suckers, the R2 also gathers data for the farmers to make sure they know what kind of soil their crops are growing on and monitors the environmental conditions for them too. Such measures come in handy when you're managing large areas of crop, and it's actually pretty cool how these tiny pieces of metal and alloy have made our lives so much easier. And that's a wrap for this video, guys. What do you think about these agricultural robots? Let us know in the comments section down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more innovative videos like this. Until next time, see you soon.